This is a video lesson on using angles and parallel lines or other equal angles to find missing values. In example 1, it says find the value of x, y, and z and explain your reason. So there are a few things that we're going to use here, one of which is the triangle angle sum, that all angles in a triangle add up to 180. The other things might have to do with angles that are either vertically opposite, so those angles are equal, angles that meet where two lines cross, or certain angles in parallel lines are equal, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and corresponding angles. I may have to use all of those things here. So the order in which you go through these, that's up to you. It depends on how you see the diagram. But the first thing that I did, I'm going to color code these. These angles here, this 30 degrees and the x plus 5, those angles are equal because these lines are parallel. This transversal cuts. 1, these sort of form a z, backward z, still counts. But 2, both of these angles are in between the parallel lines and they are on alternate sides of the transversal. So those are alternate interior angles, and because these are parallel lines, those angles are equal. I would have to justify that by writing something like this out. And then I can say that x plus 5 is equal to 30, which means that x has to equal 25. So I found one of them. Number 2, again, you can do these in any order, but I looked at these two angles. And again, because these are parallel lines, if you want to pause for a minute and figure out why those angles are equal, how you would justify that, I encourage you to do that. But I'll tell you that both of these angles are above their parallel lines. They're both to the right of this transversal. Those are corresponding angles, and thus, because these are parallel lines, they are equal. So 2y is equal to 40, and y is equal to 20. Finally, to find z, I went through 2 steps. You might have been able to do it in 1. But my first step was to say that these angles here, this angle up here, which I've not named and it doesn't have a variable, has to equal 30 because these two are corresponding angles. So that's a 30. And my second step was that because these form a triangle, and the sum of the interior angles of a triangle must always add up to 180, it means that z has to be 180 minus 40 minus 30, and that is 110 degrees. So those are the 3 missing values there. Here's another example. So again, we have parallel lines. Those are indicated by these arrows. Again, the question would be to find the missing values like A, B, and C, though it doesn't explicitly say it here. My first step was that I looked at these two. Again, if you want to pause the video and try to figure out why those or how those are related to each other and by what reasoning, I encourage you to do so. But I'll tell you now, because these lines cross, these are vertically opposite angles and they are equal. So A minus 5 must equal 95. A is equal to 100. Next, I looked at these two. Because these lines are parallel, this is a transversal. If you want to pause and try to figure out or justify what the relationship is between those angles, go for it. Both of those angles are in between the parallel lines, and they are on opposite sides of the transversal. So those are alternate interior angles, and thus in parallel lines they are equal. So C is equal to, I should probably be more precise here and leave this as 40 over 3. It's 13.3 repeating. This would be like a less precise answer, not quite as good. And my third step was that I looked at these 3. Those form a triangle, and the sum of interior angles is 180. So I subtracted 40, the entire 3 times C, not just the C value, and 95, A minus 5. And then B, that has to add up to 180. So it turns out that angle B is 45 degrees. That is it.